Alright, new video format. Basically, it's how it should have went. I take a WWE pay-per-view event, I take a WWE match, or I take whatever the hell company that you guys want to see, and I basically book it how I believe that it should have been booked, or creative thinking on my part. So this is definitely one of the more controversial pay-per-views, as we all know how dog shit it was, especially the Royal Rumble ending. With Dave Batista, of all people, winning the Royal Rumble 6 days after he returned, by last eliminating Roman Reigns, who made a 12-man elimination record, beating Kane, who was also in the same match. Why? And not to mention, the only good thing about the show is probably Bray Wyatt versus Daniel Bryan. Definitely one of the more interesting storylines of that year. But then on top of that, you have Randy Orton versus John Cena for the 30,000th time for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, which was a dumb idea. Then you have Brock Lesnar versus The Big Show for another time. And then on the pre-show, you had the New Age Outlaws versus Cody Rhodes and Goldust winning the Tag Team Championships. This makes no sense. And not only did Brock Lesnar and Big Show only clock in at 2 minutes and 2 seconds, but literally the best matchup was the longest of the night. I'm gonna book the show on how I want it to. I'm just booking the main show, so nothing on the pre-show. Alright, main show. First match, Bray Wyatt versus Daniel Bryan. So, I would not change a lot about this in matchup concept. I think it was actually a really decently well put together match. I just think that the storyline could have been a little bit different. Instead of Daniel joining the Wyatt family after getting his ass beat, the night after Hell in a Cell 2013, the Wyatts would surround Daniel Bryan while he's in the ring with Curtis Axel, and Wyatt would deliver his sister Abigail and wanting to recruit Daniel into his family. CM Punk would then provide support and then face the Wyatts at Survivor Series just like in real life, but to prove his allegiance, Daniel Bryan refuses to hit the running knee on Luke Harper to end the match, and he walks over to Wyatt, and Wyatt opens his arms. And then at TLC, CM Punk then goes into a chairs match with Daniel Bryan to try and knock some sense into him to help him see the light. And after Punk delivers a GTS to defeat Daniel, Wyatt is then hit with a chair after Wyatt hits his sister Abigail on Punk, and Daniel Bryan turns face. Alright, so if we're going to keep Brock Lesnar in the Big Show, I feel like you have to add something to this. So, I believe that you should use a no-holds-barred match. Yes, Brock Lesnar versus Big Show in a no-holds-barred match. Same matchup as real life, except maybe let it go on a little bit further and have a little bit more carnage. I'll explain in a second. So same as real life, the build is about Big Show taking the attack on Mark Henry personally, instead of just being another guy that Brock Lesnar is going to defeat. And week after week, both Big Show and Brock Lesnar destroyed their surroundings due to their attacks, so Vince McMahon makes this a match of no holds barred. And I believe that it should be a hard-hitting matchup that leaves both announce tables destroyed, barricades broken, and a chair destroyed over Big Show's back, which leads to an F5 and a Kimura lock, making Show tap. And once the match is over, he puts Show back in the Kimura and snaps his arm, same as Mark Henry. Surprisingly, they did not have a Divas Championship match on this card. And at this current moment, this is when AJ Lee was going through one of her best Divas title reigns. And looking at the most recent pay-per-views before these, it was basically AJ Lee versus Brie Bella, with Brie always taking the loss. So, how about we switch it up? How about we have AJ Lee versus Nikki Bella? Hear me out. At this time, Nikki Bella is not as over as she would be later in the year. If you're able to give her a credible loss, like just having her actually fight and actually have her wrestle against someone like AJ Lee, then you can see the potential, and then her eventual Divas title win would make more sense in this context. But eventually AJ Lee would beat Nikki Bella in this matchup. Now, we would not have Randy Orton versus John Cena for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. In fact, John Cena won't even be at this pay-per-view until later. So how about we actually do Randy Orton versus Batista for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship? Now, this seems like a dumb idea on paper, but if you were going to plan this out for WrestleMania, why don't you have it as a show that could lead to more implications about the World Championship? So I really wouldn't know how this match would go. Basically a Randy Orton and Batista match. Randy Orton would always try to escape and Batista would beat the shit out of him, but then eventually some underhanded tactics would best of Batista and Randy Orton will win the matchup. Alright, now time for the Royal Rumble. Now, I don't want to say exactly all the eliminations and all the bullshit, so I'm just going to tell you all of the numbers, and then if there's anything that I want to include about it, I will just say it. Entry number 1 is Luke Harper, and then the second entrant is going to be Seth Rollins. This actually builds up to a WrestleMania 6-man tag instead of at Elimination Chamber next month. Number 3 is Damien Sandow. Damien Sandow tries to stand up to both of these men, but he gets his ass beat. And as Sandow is trying to recover, Cody Rhodes comes in at number 4. Cody Rhodes would give an assist, as this team was basically dead in the water in the first place. They both have dysfunction, they both get eliminated. Number 5 is Eric Rowan, so that Luke Harper can beat the shit out of Seth Rollins and have the eventual Shield backup. Number 6 is Alexander Rusev, and he's going to be making his debut here tonight in the Rumble. He needs an impressive showing. Everything about this needs to be saved. Dolph Ziggler at number 7, he does Dolph Ziggler things. Number 8, Dean Ambrose. Dean Ambrose goes nuts and helps out Seth Rollins, beating the shit out of Luke Harper and Eric Rowan, eventually pushing Luke Harper to the outside, but through the middle rope and just absolutely brawling with him. Number 10 is R-Truth. Number 11 is Jack Swagger. Number 12 is Kane. Number 13 is Alberto Del Rio. Number 14, Roman Reigns. Keep his elimination record that he earns in this matchup there, because if you want to build up Roman Reigns, this is a perfect opportunity to. So even having him in the final 10 would work. Number 15 is Rob Van Dam. Rob Van Dam was on hiatus for some reason. He wasn't really wrestling at the time, so it would be cool to have his sort of legend spot. Number 16 is Bray Wyatt. All-out 6-man brawl between the Shield and the Wyatt family, and it only ends with Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns standing. This will make more sense in a little bit. Seth Rollins is eliminated at the hands of the Wyatt family, and he is upset at his elimination. Number 17 is Great Khali, usual Great Khali stuff. Number 18, Adam Rose. Adam Rose would eventually make his debut after WrestleMania, so I feel like if you put him in this context and have a little bit of a cameo debut, it's kind of like how Andrade Cien Almas debuted as the NXT champion at the Royal Rumble a few years ago. Number 19, Sheamus. He's going to get his return and his huge pop that he got in real life. Number 20 is Goldust. Number 21, Antonio Cesaro. Keep him until the final 5. I believe that it would give more credibility to his Andre the Giant Battle Royal victory a couple months later. Number 22, Justin Gabriel. Number 23, Fandango. Number 24, Ryback. I want Ryback to get a few eliminations, but I want him to be eliminated rather shockingly fast. So maybe getting Adam Rose getting a surprise victory, or even number 25, Rey Mysterio. But guess what? He does not come out to a shitty crowd because Daniel Bryan isn't there yet. It would eliminate the heat that Rey Mysterio would get from this. Number 26, Big E Langston. Feel like you need a wild card in here, and especially somebody who would eventually win your WWE Championship, so why not? Number 27, fuck you, it's John Cena. Last year's winner looks to do it again and challenge The Rock for the 4th time. Yes, I know they only competed twice before, but shut up. Number 28, CM Punk. Have a stare down with John Cena. Number 29, Daniel Bryan. And you're like, Daniel Bryan at 29, why don't you put him at 30? Because I'll get to that. Daniel Bryan comes out, and he's absolutely laying kicks. He's eliminating people. He's getting the crowd hyped up. He is on their side. But then, as soon as the final 5 is here, Roman Reigns, CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, Rey Mysterio, Antonio Cesaro, and Brock Lesnar comes out at 30. And then as Antonio Cesaro is ceremoniously eliminated over the ropes, Brock Lesnar then tosses Rey Mysterio over his head, eliminating him. Lesnar then starts pummeling his competition similar to in 2020, but instead of eliminating, he has a lot of pent-up aggression because of his match with Big Show earlier. Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar then exchange shots back and forth, which ends up with an F5 to Reigns, but as Lesnar looks to take the spotlight at WrestleMania once again. But as Lesnar is distracted, CM Punk and Daniel Bryan look at each other and start teaming up on Brock. CM Punk is able to move out of a shot into the corner from Lesnar, which allows Bryan to hit the running knee. Roman Reigns then waits for him to get up and spears the hell out of Lesnar, and then Punk powers Lesnar on his shoulders with a GTS. All 3 men then eliminate Brock Lesnar, having the final 3 of CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and Daniel Bryan. This is also a better scenario because you have the most over guys at the time, Roman Reigns, CM Punk, and Daniel Bryan. And even if this is Punk's last night at the company, it left more of an impact. That being said, Daniel Bryan then eliminates CM Punk while he's not paying attention, and we are down to the final 2, Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan. This can also be a callback in a year when they eventually face off at Fastlane 2015. Because let's be honest, no matter what kind of rebooking I do, they were already going to make Roman Reigns WWE Champion. But after some very close near eliminations from both men, Roman Reigns is able to nail a Superman punch on Daniel Bryan and sets him up for a spear. Bryan then counters with the running knee and eliminates Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns gets his 12 eliminations, Daniel Bryan wins his main event at WrestleMania, and there's no major backlash following the conclusion of this event. Daniel Bryan would eventually challenge Randy Orton for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania 30 with no Batista involved. If you guys like this scenario, this rebooking, let me know what you guys would like to see. Kind of leaning towards doing matches, pay-per-views, and dream matches, as if you saw in my community post, I've kind of gave you guys an update about what's going on with production and everything. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you guys want to see down below, and I will talk to you all later.
Somebody raise a glass!